Good. Philippe, have you had a further chance to reflect on Saturday's defeat and what it means for the rest of the season?
Yeah, of course. We always look back to the game and make a good debriefing about everything. So I think the main conclusions are that beginning of the game we did good things with the ball, but some individual players had difficulty in the one against ones. Were not strong enough in the duels there, and we conceded a few chances out of that, not out of being out of structure, but more that. In the beginning of the game, we became better then afterwards, winning more duels. We had also the chances in the first half. At the end, at halftime, and that's an objective thing. All the data from different companies, expected G was similar of the two teams. There was not much difference. But you go in halftime with 10, of course, and with a 1-2 result. So that makes it, of course, much more difficult to get the end results. And you can fear that moment that your team breaks against a good opponent with playing with one player less in a stadium that is determined to kill you. That's normal also. So in that way, the team showed a lot of resilience. We tried to go for the second goal, and we stayed in the game until the last second of the game also. So in that way, that's a positive thing. But we had to show more quality in one against one duels. But we know also it's challenging playing against a Celtic squad who's with all the players available, and at that moment missing 9 players. That's also part of the story, of course.
Just spoken to Cyril, asking him about the gap between the two teams. He doesn't feel there is a quality gap between the two. Is that what you feel as well? Do you think there's much difference between yourselves?
If we are both fully fit, no. And that's also in the points, even with 2 losses and a draw. We have 1 point more won, I think, in the 6 months, in these last 6 months. So no, there's not a big gap. But we need to prove that on the pitch in the results against each other. And in the other games also, because it's not only against each other. So we need to grab those moments, and that's part of top football. If you score a first goal, you have another scenario, another dynamic of the game. For sure, in this game it would have been different. We had this chance also to do that. We had 2 good ones like that to score the first goal, but you need to take that moment. And that's our responsibility to do.
You're talking about the other games against the other 10 teams. You know, you have 1 or 2 more points than Celtic do, but obviously if the results have been reversed in the old firms, you would be close to being champions. You could be champions.
Yeah, of course, but that's if, and it's not the case.
So when it's coming down to these games against Celtic, do you think it's a mentality issue, or is it these injuries? Is it?
Yeah, of course, but every team in the world, if you have 9 players who possible starting 11 players are not available, for every team in the world, it's a difficulty. I hear the same things if 1 or 2 players of the Celtic team were missing during the season, that it was such a massive thing that they were back. We had 9, we have for tomorrow 11 that were missing. So that's for me a major thing that we need to change towards next season, that these things don't happen. But it's the foundation of the house that we need to make stronger. So
do you feel that when the end of the season comes, whether you end up with 1 or 2 trophies, you'll look back and think the difference between us winning the league and not winning the league was the injuries we had? Is that what you'll feel, do you think?
No, there will be other things also, so it's too easy to only put it there. But it's that moment, not looking back where we lost something towards somebody else. It's looking back, how can we make things better here? And it's gonna be a turnaround in the squad. That's clear also with all the contract situations. and everything. So we're going to work hard on that. We are working hard on that already for months. And I see that the recruitment team are really busy by finding the good profiles for next season. But now, this moment, it's for me important for these last 3 games and not to only be busy with next season. It's about now. It's about tomorrow. Okay, we missed the 11 players. That's true. But we need to now make the best with all the players who are available. So several guys have been working really hard the last couple of months to get chances to play. I could not give because the others were doing really well. Now is their chance to show it.
For the players who are under contract, you've also spoken a bit about the players who are out of contract. For the guys who are contracted here, what do you need to see from them in the next couple of weeks for them to keep their places within the squad?
No, but I'm not gonna speak about every individual now. It's just about everybody showing the level, what they did a few weeks ago also. Don't make everything now negative because we lost the game and now everything what happened the last couple of months is bad, and it's also not the case because a few weeks ago all of you guys were saying Rangers has the momentum and Rangers is the best team and Rangers is playing the best football. So that was there also, that moment. So these players were doing that also. But from those players who were doing that, a lot of them are not available for the moment.
The players who are out of contract, have you made final decisions on?
No, I said it last week. We're going to make final decisions after these 2 weeks because it's too crucial to be busy with all those things, making negotiations with players for them. Because it's now about one thing and it's about the club and getting the results. And players who are busy with other things and talking, making talks about contracts and everything, they cannot have the focus on the result now. So it's also chances now to take also for them to show that they want to stay here.
Philippe, who's your 11 players who are missing for tomorrow?
I had to write it down because it was too much to keep it in mind. So John Sutter will not be available, Connor Goldson not, Leon Balogun not, Dujon Sterling not, John Lundstrom not because of suspension, Tom Lawrence not, Oscar Cortes not, Rabi Matondo not, Abdallah Sima not, and Danilo not, and Bailey Rice not.
Are any of those players, the new injuries, if you like, are they struggling for the cup final?
I don't think so. And I hope next week to recover a few. But of course, if players have been out for a longer time, I don't expect miracles also that suddenly they can play 90 minutes. But there will be hopefully more players available, yes.
4 times this season that Rangers have been unable to beat Celtic. What do you say to the fans who have now lost belief in the team ahead of the Scottish Cup final?
No, that we're gonna fight really hard to get the result, and that it's about margins that you need to take, and we need to take them, and we need to stay with 11, of course. That helps also in that way. But it's not that the last games that we lost with 4-0 or 3-0 or whatever, it were small margins. Even with 10 now at the end, nobody was relaxed in the stadium. So we're going to push really hard towards this cup final, but also these last 2 games, but towards this cup final. And we count on the supporters to push also really hard and to help the team over the difficult moments like they've been doing brilliantly the last couple of months. And the synergy has come back last couple of months between the team and the fans. So I count on that for this cup final also.
Philippe, you talked about the summer recruitment there. Just how big a rebuilding job do you think you'll have?
It's going to be a big one because of all the end of contracts. And maybe others also. So no, it's going to be quite a rebuild also. So you want to keep foundations of this season also. You don't want to start from zero again. So we need to find a good balance in that and doing smart things for now, but also for the future of the club, to bring profiles in, like Diomande is proving now, week after week, who can also be assets for the future. But we need to get also experience in, if experience is leaving the building. So we need to find a good balance in that.
And are you confident you have the necessary budget to get the quality of player that you need to take the team to the next level?
We are talking about that, yes. So I think every manager, if he needs to rebuild, he always wants more money.
And how do you feel about it?
That the club, that I feel that they know how necessary it is to do that. But it's not only in recruitment. In other departments, we need to make also good decisions because we cannot have so many injuries. So we need to rebuild also some things there, I think.
You've talked about this a couple of times this season. What for you then has to change on the injury front?
Yeah, there are several things that need to change, but that are things that I prefer to keep in the building and make it better in the building.
Mm. You mentioned on Saturday about, you don't want to see sort of tackles like John made. You had the chance to speak to him and...
Yeah, of course, but no, John spoke first to me to say sorry. He knew from the first second. He knew. He wanted to go for the ball because we were pressing high. If we can win that ball, we can be in a 1-against-1 situation and create a chance. And he's 1 split second too late, and he touched the foot instead of the ball that moment. But I don't want to see that tackles from that far. He knows it's one of our principles. It's on the board in the dressing room, so it's nothing new. But players make mistakes, managers make mistakes, even journalists, I think, sometimes. Maybe at home only, I don't know. Yeah, Lanier has been giving a lot, and that's what I said after the game also. Last month that we worked together, was it every game that he was the best player? Also not. Did he have bad games? Yes, he had also bad games, he knows, but he's giving his best and he wants to give the best for the club, and he did the last couple of years. So story finished, he made a mistake, and it's now we're looking forward.
Philippe, will you count on him for the cup final? What? Will you count on John for the cup final?
I count on everybody. I count also on the players of second team. There will be several of those on the bench or even maybe starting tomorrow. So I count on everybody in this building until the last second that they're here to give their best for the club. If I see they don't show that in mentality, then they will never be in the selection and then take a young lad. But I haven't seen that from one player until now. And that's what they showed also by being with 10 and still digging in, because it was so easy to give up that moment and get a really punishment that moment, but that they didn't do. So about mentality, I cannot say anything.
Last couple of points.
In terms of
you've got the most out of the squad that you could have, and that's part of the reason for the big rebuild. You took them as far as you could, but it just wasn't quite enough with the squad you've got here.
It's not about me, no. Now you ask a question about me. I'm doing my ultimate best day and night to get the best out of everybody in the club. It's not me to judge if it was the perfect job or not. And knowing myself, it will never be the perfect job because I know I make mistakes. And I want to get better. If I make mistakes, then the next time I want to be better. That's what I expect from everybody in the building also. So in October, when I first talked with you guys, and we would have said that 3 days before the end, we would play for the title, and we won the League Cup, and we were first in the group in Europe, and all these things, you guys would have laughed probably at that moment. Now, we've been there, but not far enough. I want to get more trophies with this club. So it's now about making the right conclusions, working hard, making things better, and being better the next time.
Yes, like what I actually meant was there was only so much that you could do to get that much out of that.
Yeah, but I'm critical for myself, so I always look, okay, maybe I could have done that different. So there will always be something. I don't think any good manager in the world would say that he does everything perfect, because then you're on the wrong track, I think.
What is the biggest thing you've learned from this season, or what's the one lesson that you'll look to take to go forward?
Well, those are sometimes small decisions, but for sure the injury story. Maybe it was better not to wait until the end of the season to make decisions around that. But you give also chances to people.
Philippe, just in terms of these 2 games in the league coming up, what are the aim for the 2 games? Is it to keep the league going as long as possible? Is it preparation for the cup final?
No, it's not preparation for the cup final, because it's going to be maybe with other players, the cup final. I hope to recover towards that game. It's going to be about pride, about honor, about quality, about players showing themselves for the team, not for themselves, but for the team. And taking the 3 points, it's always about that, about wanting to win games and giving everything for that all together. So that's what I want to see, the next 2 games. And then we can prepare this cup final.
Stevie, to finish, please.
Philippe, I just wanted to ask, we spoke about this before, obviously, about how Rangers have started. You've made a big point recently in games of saying we're not starting well, and that has been a trend of your comments in the last 4 or 5 games. Again, on Saturday you said that the first 20 minutes were not what you expected.
Not from everybody, no.
Not from everybody, granted. So how do you correct that, and are you confident that this squad can, or is it something that we just need to get through the end of the season before you can make the changes that will help you do it?
No, I think they can, because they did in several other games. It's not that it's every game. They did against Benfica, for example, and I still think that the quality of Benfica team is better than the Celtic squad. So they did there, so they can do it. Did we miss some decisive players in this game? Yeah, it's a big list and a lot of quality. You cannot forget that. So you can ask from players who would normally be second or third choice in that moment in that game when you have a full squad, to be now a starter, to have the same level as the rest. That's maybe a bridge too far. So we touched then the ceiling in that moment, and you need to work hard to make that better and to learn out of that and to become better as a player and as a team.
It's always easy to question team selections and things after the fact. Everybody's an expert. Would you have changed anything? Would you maybe have, even on reflection of watching the game, you wouldn't have changed your selection? There was a lot of cry, maybe we needed more energy and things in midfield. Would you have swapped that at all?
Yeah, but then you said something about other positions also. So no, this one not. There are other games that I had a lot of headaches about making the right decisions. This game, it was quite clear for everybody what should be the starting 11 and how to get other players in during the game. So of course there will always be a question about 1 or 2 players. That's always the case, but no, in general not, no.